Oh, man.
Ooh, Landjäger. This is an absolutely delightful, tiny, dry, flavorful salami, which I'm eating. And today, we are going to make some more. We're kind of doing a little bit of a spin on a traditional one, as the original is largely beef with a bit of pork, kind of like a 10-to-3-ish ratio. But we're going to use a bunch of moose meat, which we did in this original one here, and it was delightful. Right? We got moose, we got some beef, we got a little bit of pork loin just to kind of make up the balance, because apparently we ran out of moose and beef. And then we've got a picnic roast here as well. So we're going to get this all diced up and we will chat some more. We're all diced up, well, not diced up, nice long little thin strips here. And we're going to let this just freeze up a touch, get nice and cold in the freezer. Look at all this other stuff in here. Uh-oh. No, it's a very well organized freezer. Okay, so now we have our spices and seasonings and everything here. We've got dextrose, so that's based on the total meat weight. We've got 0.8%. We've got ground black pepper, that's 0.3%. We have ground white pepper, which is 0.3%. And then I'm using black mustard seeds. You could use any kind of mustard seeds you want. I think these black ones, or we think these black ones, are going to look super cool in it. That is 0.1%. And then some fresh ground caraway seeds here, also 0.1%. So we can just mix this all together, and that will be our spice mix. Also going in at some point here, we've got 2.3% of kosher salt. That's a lot of salt. We've got our cure number 1. This is the sodium nitrite. So it's like product powder number 1 or Instacure number 1, whatever you've got. That is 200 parts per million that we're going to be putting in. And I've got some, he's coughing on the white pepper. We've got Stroh's rum, which is awful. Awful. Let's take a look at the bottle here.
Just don't.
Don't drink. Cooking use only, but it is very traditional. This Austrian island rum. All the islands.
Austrian islands, yes.
Tropical islands in Austria. We've got that. There's also some distilled water and bacterial culture to come, but this is just where we're at right now. This is the spice blend that we mixed up, which is killing my partner in crime right now. So all that white pepper.
And here we have a really bad idea.
Yeah, horrible idea. We've got our distilled water. We're going with 0.5% of that based on the meat weight. We've got this bacterial culture. We're going with Mono Start Classic. I need 1.3 grams. Now, I'm going to weigh this out into the water directly on camera, just to see how badly we can screw this up. Oh, 0.8, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, there we are. We're just going to let this dissolve in the water, and we'll be adding that to the meat after it's been ground. Okay, so we got all the grinder parts and everything frozen. We crusted up that meat a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and start to grind. So now that we're all ground into this nice big tub, we're going to be adding the cure. Sprinkle, sprinkle. And then mixing it up for a couple of minutes until we can't handle it anymore.
Tell me about frostbite, Phil.
So while we're doing all this mixing, we're also going to throw in the starter culture. Pluck out that weird little string. Ah!
Want to trade off?
Sure, we should do like 30-second sprints.
Oh my God, that's cold.
It is so cold. There's a big difference when you are not just immersing, but
polar plunge.
Yeah. The spice is nice, eh?
About half, and then I'll start sneezing.
I'll try to turn it a little bit here too.
There we go.
Yeah, sprinkle, sprinkle. While I pretend to warm up my hands. We do have a nice gallon bucket of hot water off to the side here that when we switch up, we're just dunking our hands in.
This is how we know this dad is brilliant. How many times we made sausage without that idea?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
So I'll do this, what, half and half?
Sure.
So much salt.
Lots of salt.
Why are they so delicious?
Yeah. Yar.
Islander rum.
Big air quotes on that.
The only way to make that rum palatable is to drown it in 12 kilos of meat.
All right, so after mixing, we went ahead and threw the tub of the meat back into the freezer just to chill it down a little bit because we were, I think, warming it up with our hands. Didn't feel like it, but I'm sure it was a little bit warmer. So it'll be a little bit easier to do a second grind on. I'm still using this 1/4-inch plate here. We're just going to run it through a second time with that. And that should be sufficient for what we're doing today. So there we are after our second grind. Now we're just going to give it one last little mix here for a minute or so, and get our stuffer. It's not a suffer, right? Well, you're about to suffer.
The suffering is the waiting.
Right, precisely. Yeah, get the stuffer going, and we can get these cased. So we're going to be using these Nitta 23mm casings. These are nice because they are edible. They also don't have to be soaked or really prepared in any way. All we've done was just I threw a little olive oil on the stuffer tube here and just fired on as much as I could. Okay, let us load. Fire!
Great, now I got AC/DC stuck in my head.
No kidding. Oh, we're gonna run we can run these then into another meat tub if we want. Put this over here. You kind of, you think?
Sure.
Gather them in that. Oh, and we're gonna want to.
Did we get Teresa out here for this? Because she was way better at it than you and I.
Yeah, let me just stop this video. Pad the meat. Right?
So what, about 6-inch lengths?
Yeah, it's probably fair.
Do you have a pin?
Yeah, we got the right here.
Yeah, this is not gonna work.
Slow, I guess.
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do with this? Stuff though, like what are we supposed to do?
What's going on?
It broke right off the bat. This is dry. It's awful. I'm not gonna be able to manhandle it. Just split. It's not gonna take anything.
Nice balancing.
Just pop that. Yeah, squeeze it out, and then what do you mean?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how you're gonna twist. I don't know how you're gonna do anything.
No, thank you.
But it's got the thing on there. It's got the casing on it.
Yeah, well,
How big do you want these?
probably like good 6 inches or so. What are you doing? You can't go around and mess around with stuff. There's like raw meat containers here.
Do you have something to like show a size? So I can measure it?
Sure. Pretty tight. I'll find you something that is roughly 6 inches long.
Actually, these.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So.
Okay. It's not gonna twist. It's gonna pop every time, I think.
Beep, beep, Richie.
Scooter.
Oh, smart enough.
Ooh, it just exploded again.
Okay, so we got to squeeze. Yeah.
Stay on the other side.
So let's. Why don't we just?
These are awful.
What's that?
These are awful.
Or you're gonna lose it.
Let's do these again.
Want to tie that? You want me to tie it?
Yeah. Yeah, they're just so dry. They're just so dry. They just literally snap it off. They're like paper.
Are we sure we don't need to soak these?
Yeah, that's what they said. Like I looked up instructions. They're like, no soaking required. Just nothing together. Because they say that soaking can cause it to like not want to bind to the meat.
Oh.
Well, it's just so dry. It's just exploding.
You guys are talking insane.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna turn this off. Okay, so we are now ready to stuff. Starting off here. So we're using, I think these are 32 mil hog casings, which should result in a pretty decent size when all is said and done after the dry aging process. We're just going and twisting in between these links for now.
Like that magic.
So now we've got a super fancy, we have a super fancy setup here in the incubator that I use for yeast propagation and whatnot. So one of these bulbs here is actually warming up the temperature. I also have a small thermal heat wrap that's 3 feet long, curled around on the bottom. We are going to get a small fan in here for circulation. And then these are sealed up here with plastic wrap just to keep the humidity high right in there. So that's going to keep that up in that 90 plus RH range, and we're going to be getting the incubator up to somewhere in the 80s Fahrenheit. So after 2 days, these are nicely fermented. The color's changed up nicely. I don't think it's showing up really well in the video, but they are kind of a nice pink color, which is great. And I'm just going to prep them up so we can flatten them for probably a day, and then we can go ahead and hang them and smoke them and all that fun stuff. Here we are in the curing chamber. I have these weighed down. These are actually some cast iron combo cooker lids that I plastic wrapped and then sprayed down with some vinegar just to be safe. And I've got them in here. They're plastic wrapped just because it's a high humidity environment in here, and I don't want to mess them up, even though they're probably only going for a day. So everything's getting a little squishy, and we'll see how it turns out. After a couple of days of them flattening like this, I'm going to go ahead and actually prep them for the next step. Ideally, I would have done this at the same time as fermenting, but just because of the quantity of salami that I was working with and the original really frigid temperature of it, I wanted to leave them spaced out in that incubator just to make sure that they all hit the fermentation temperature and had a good chance to ferment. So after I got those out of the sort of flattening phase, I went ahead and just kind of cut them into anywhere from 3 to 5 lengths, depending on what was convenient. Now I've just got them on bars here in my brick smoker, and I'm just going to use this pellet tube smoker here loaded up with the Traeger competition pellets, and I'm going to give them a quick cold smoke. So now that pellet smoker here is fired up, I'm going to go ahead and this will probably take about 6 hours for this to go through one cycle on this, and this will give us a sort of the dual purpose of getting some nice smoke flavor into the salami, as well as probably reducing the potential for some obnoxious mold growth that I'm simply not looking for on this particular sausage. So there's just a little bit of smoke coming through here still. That's okay. I'm going to let that die out, and then these salamis are going to just off gas here in the smoker for a little bit. The temperature outside is like, it's going to be about -5 degrees Celsius. It's pretty funny here. Check the skating rink. It was about -45 with the wind chill here just a few days ago. So huge temperature swing, and let these off gas for a few hours once this is done, and that'll get them back in the curing chamber. Well, fresh out of the smoker, here we are. We've got all these landies in here. We did wind up getting doing a couple in a 23 mil Nitta casing there. But I've got 2 sets of the small ones and 2 sets of the 32 mil casings with weights on them, some near the front, some near the back, and I can rotate things around and just kind of get a good idea for weight loss here. Just a week after hanging these smaller Landjägers, they've already hit that weight loss I was shooting for, which is in that 38 to 40%. So I'm going to go ahead and just get these disconnected and equalizing. 1 week after getting these back into the curing chamber after smoking, I'd say just over half of them are actually ready. We've hit that 40% weight loss, and that's with some of these skinnier 23 mil and some of these wider 32 mil. So I've pulled those. We're going to get them vacuum sealed so that they can just equalize a little bit, and then they'll be ready to eat. And the rest of them still hanging out in the chamber. So I've just got these food saver bags here, and I actually took like their pre-cut ones. They're already like this, and just sealed the one end, cut them in half, because these are small enough salamis that they just fit really nicely in there. I'm just going to get them all sealed up here. And there we go. So I'm just going to get the rest of them packaged up here. I'm going to get a date on them and then get them into the fridge, and they can equalize. Okay, so after 1 week for both of these, sitting in just the keg freezer, the refrigerator, vacuum sealed to equalize, we're going to rip into them. I've pulled 2 different ones here. This one that was pulled a few days before this one is just a little bit softer. You can kind of squeeze it just a little bit, whereas this one is considerably harder. So this will be an interesting little test. Cut into one and into 2. I also intentionally picked different shaped ones so that we can see here. So, go ahead. And we could leave this casing on here because it is that hog casing. It's totally safe to eat. However, it also peels off rather easily. I should be careful how quickly I say that, just in case I lie.
Damn it.
Just get off! All right. So here we are. Just a little bit of some of the inner coating of that, but that's fine. So, slice away. Here's number one. This one, yeah, definitely a little harder. How did he lose a finger? Well, being excited about Landjäger.
Can't even blame you.
No. Okay, let's have some.
Tink.
Okay, that's tasty.
Hello, Flavor Country.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Slice a little bit more. It is,
Yeah, it's not going to stand a chance.
no. It is a little soft, but nice tight bind on it. Really good. Oh, yeah.
Smoke comes through nicely.
It really does.
One more.
And the harder one.
That's a lot more like the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice and firm. The flavor jump out a little bit more on that one, maybe?
A little more.
Concentrated almost, right? Fantastic.
Landies,
Landys.
highly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. So super fun. A great way to use wild meat, especially if maybe you're getting sick of just like roasts or steaks or something like that with it. Works really well, especially for some of those odd shaped cuts that sometimes you might get if you've been given some meat for free. That might not work well for certain other purposes. But yeah, flavors play super well. So
Yeah, that's excellent.
big win.
We are going to eat that whole thing.
Well, we are going to do this whole thing. All right.
It's happening.